Okay, then, let's get straight to it. I want to talk about your boys here.
Yes, thank you so much. First, I read the article as soon as I get it. He's delighted. I'm glad that you kind of mentioned you're like Samson Dauda hater, because I'm labeled to be a hater of everybody else. But no, I know exactly what you mean. Listen, you've been expert in the sport, and even you were shocked with the progress.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you mentioned how shocking that progress is. So on that note, both Samson and I wanted to tell you, just keep imagining that progress continuing. And if he did what he did to the Arnold Classic 2022, then to the Olympia the same year, and then in 11 weeks, 2023 Arnold, I want to have your wildest imagination think what he can look like at Olympia 2023.
Thing is that kind of progress maintainable? Can he keep progressing?
Well, listen, for some people, yeah, and you've been around for a long time. Some guys hit the plateau and you can hardly see the changes. But if you watch dynamics of his body, you mentioned from Korea when he went there and was stuck 2 weeks in a hotel room, and he lost that show to Korean guy, and then going there to the first Arnold Classic, you didn't expect much. He climbed up as much as fourth, and then to Olympia. There was that structure, Nigerian genetics, beautiful body, but he's still 6 foot and needed to grow into his frame. He needed the wider shoulders, he needed the wider back. And now you see, as he's filling it up, you appreciate his aesthetics even more. Some guys lose that aesthetic component once they start getting bigger. Samson is still actually getting more aesthetic as he's growing. And I do know that I'm talking to the condition guy, and that you always want to see the condition is number one priority. And we're going to bring more conditioned Samson at Arnold Classic, that's for sure. It is just like a few things in perspective. How far do you go at the expense of everything else, right? And I think we mentioned that subject before. Some people, me included, dramatically sacrifice my size. I didn't have much size, but the size that I had, I sacrificed to get that Giles conditioning. Bone dry, striated, nothing else matters. Until you reach that, nothing happens. And I mentioned to you that Joe Wheeler opened up my eyes and said, look, it's a hashtag bodybuilding. We are accounting for everything and starting with the size and then balance and the shape and conditioning, weaknesses, presentation, all kinds of stuff. So Samson, I think even you would agree, has the most things check.
Yeah.
First, size department. He was the only guy that stood next to Big Ramy and held his own, and that was that thing. Last year was his first Olympia. We were going for that. In your interview, he told you we were shooting for top 10, to leave the impact, hoping there's going to maybe at one point get the comparison with Big Ramy. And as Jay Cutler said back in 2001, the luck of the draw, he picked the number right next to Ronnie, which he thinks was the cause that catapulted him there into comparisons. Same thing with Samson. He was right next to Big Ramy. Those two guys were called out. And that was the first time you could actually appreciate, like, Jesus, look at the guy. He was 294. That's what you mentioned in your article. But I think, if I remember correctly, he was 296.
Okay.
But, to make long story short, he left that impact in that interview that you had with after the Olympia that I jumped on with Ron and Boston, Mass. I said specifically in a wording in which way does Nick Walker physique beat Samson? And you guys right away say on that conditioning, and I agreed. The level of conditioning that Nick brought to the Olympia with the level of conditioning that Samson, was gap enough to push him in front. Okay, but when we were going to the Arnold Classic again, we knew we're not going to be Nick Walker's conditioning, but we're going to beat Nick on many other check, what I just mentioned: balance, aesthetics, front, back, blah blah blah. So same thing going in this year's Olympia. I want to analyze with you and maybe with Derek. We're going to pick each and every guy. Samson and I strategize how to beat anybody in any or particular pose. There are some poses we're not going to be able to match the guys, but as an overall impact, I think we have enough tools to win this show.
To win it. Now, I heard a rumor that you're wanting to bring him in slightly lighter this year at 290. Is there any truth to that?
I swear to God, we are not stepping on the scale whatsoever.
Okay.
I just talked to Samson even 30 minutes ago. We had a very good discussion, and I'm seeing him like midnight. My time is like 8 o'clock in UK, and that's when we do our posing. So we're checking. Of course, this weekend I gave him a little bit refilling to fill up a little bit, because he looked like a man's physique in this last Instagram update.
with the abs, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so the rumors are, oh yeah, we're going, and he's no. Listen, we know that we need to be slightly better conditioned than Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
But we still have to bring all the attributes of the beauty of his physique, that aesthetics and shape and width and thickness, right? Mm-hmm. He's improving his back, and I don't know if you pay attention to those things. Most of the guys, when they post pictures and videos, they put their strongest poses, the best body poses, the things that emphasize their physique. Samson only poses back double bicep. He is like Arnold back in the day, if this is the truth, that Arnold cut up all the pants, showing his weak calves. I think that's a good story, but it's not much truth to it, right? But so anyway, Samson is right where he's supposed to be. He's so zeroed in. I mean, last year he told you he was hoping for top 10.
Yeah.
And top six was like, oh my God. This year, when we even talk at top 3, it's unbelievable result, right? Mm-hmm. But he only thinks of winning.
Wow. So he's literally got that in his mindset now.
Oh, he is dead set that he is going there to win this show. Yeah.
Do you think beating Nick and say Andrew Jacked at the Arnold Classic has given him that kind of confidence that he can come in and win it?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, I know that you and I had those debates, and I'm never going to say I'm right, you're wrong. You see, the values and something that, okay, Andrew Jack could maybe beat him in a little bit better conditioning there. And, whatever, Nick. Look, hashtag bodybuilding. That's what I'm saying. We're going to apply first filter, size, next filter, balance, next filter, the aesthetics, next filter, conditioning, all these kind of things. Back in our time, when you were, watching 90s British Grand Prix and all that stuff, we had a symmetry round specific for balance, shape, aesthetics. Mm-hmm. And you would be judged there. Mm-hmm. And then you have muscularity to show density and muscularity and conditioning and dryness and all this kind of. You had that. When I argue with Bob Cicherillo, he says, Milos, wake up, man. We're still judging all those things. You just don't. It's not classified in per round, and you could see that now they're doing a little bit more of those quarter turns, so they're paying a little bit more attention. So look, if you access the size, balance, shape, these 3 filters first with the Arnold Classic top 3, Samson, Nick, and Andrew, okay?
Yeah.
They could possibly beat him fat on conditioning,